An isosceles triangle has two equal sides. In an isosceles triangle, the shortest side is 4 feet shorter than one of the equal sides, and the perimeter is 38 feet. Find the length of the shortest side of the triangle. Now you could draw a picture of this, or you could define that without drawing a picture, but we do have 3 sides, and we know we have a shorter side. So let's start off with saying, well, we know we've got something called the short side. And then let's just call this the second and third side. And we know that 2 of them have the same length, so that must be the second and third side, since the short side must be one that is a different length. So let's call those n. You can call it any variable you want. It says the shortest side is 4 feet shorter than one of the equal sides. So we take one of the equal sides and we're going to subtract 4. 4 feet shorter. Don't write 4 minus n. Now if you wanted to see this in terms of a picture, you could have drawn it something like this. It might not really look like the final answer, but you'll get the idea. If this is n and this is n, those two lengths are the same. This is 4 feet shorter. All right, it tells us the perimeter is 38 feet. How do you get the perimeter of anything? You take the lengths of the sides and add them up. So it doesn't matter whether you're looking at the picture or defined it over here on the left, you're going to add those 3 parts together, the n minus 4, the n, and the n. So I've got n with one side plus the second side plus the third side equals 38. So now we need to solve that equation. So we need to simplify the left-hand side. 3n minus 4 equals 38. And then we will add 4 to both sides. So we have 3n equals 42. And divide by 3 to get n equals 14. Now we have to keep in mind, what does n stand for? You have to look back to how we defined it. N was one of the sides, one of the equal sides. So it looks like this was 14 and this was 14, and the short side was 4 feet less than that, or 10. You could also do it by drawing it on a picture on the triangle. We would have 10, 14, and 14. So now we want to go and make sure this makes sense. So it said that we've got 2 equal sides. Yep, we got 2 equal sides. And it also said that the shortest side is 4 feet shorter than one of the equal sides. So yes, 10 is 4 feet shorter than one of the equal sides. And it also said the perimeter was supposed to be 38 feet. And notice if you add the 3 sides, you do have 48 feet. So then find the length of the shortest side. Be careful. This time it didn't ask us for all 3 sides. So make sure you answer the question. The question is, the shortest side is, well, what's the shortest side? It wasn't n, correct? N did not stand for the shortest side. The shortest side, look at the picture, was 10. So the shortest side is 10 feet. Common mistake is not to go back and answer what they're actually asking. So you want to go back, make sure it all makes sense, and then answer the correct question. Number 3, if the length of a rectangular parking lot is 10 meters less than twice its width, and the perimeter is 400 meters, find the length of the lot. All right, this time we are looking at a rectangle, basically, because it's a rectangular parking lot. So I would suggest you draw a little picture, first of all, to get an idea. So it's like a rectangle here. And it says the length of the lot is 10 meters less than twice its width. So I'd have to know the width in order to write down the length. So if you draw a picture, that's one way of defining your variables. How about we call the width, which is the shorter side, W? Then the length is 10 meters less than twice its width. So that means I'm going to take away 10 from something, and that's going to be away from twice its width. So that is the picture. Now if you want, you could fill in all the sides, TW minus 10 and W. And then if you add all four sides together, you have 400 meters. So that's one way of doing it. If you want, you could define it differently. You could say, okay, I'm going to call the width. Without drawing a picture, you could say W, and you could say the length would be 2W minus 10. Now there's a couple different ways you can go about writing your equation. One is to simply add all sides together. So if I add all four sides, I have W plus 2W minus 10 plus W again plus 2W minus 10. That's the perimeter, and we know that is 400. Right, so that's one way of writing it. Someone else might use the formula for a rectangle, which is 2W plus 2L equals the perimeter. And if you had written it that way, you would have written, for instance, for the width, you would put in W still, right? You would put 2W, but for the length, you would put in the 2W minus 10 equals 400. And here's a tricky way of doing it. If the whole perimeter is 400, then if you only go halfway around, it's 200. So halfway around is 200, right? So if you only go halfway around, you're just going to add W plus 2W minus 10. So three people could write three different formulas, but we'll all get the same answer no matter which one of these equations. In other words, they would write three different equations. One person might write the first one I have in blue, another person might write it the way I've done it in green, and another person might write it the way I have in purple. So you can solve either of these formulas for W. All right, I'm going to just take and solve one of them. How about I take the green one and solve it? All right, so let's say I do this one. So I'm going to do my multiplication here and distribute. I have 2W plus 4W minus 20 equals 400. So 6W minus 20 is 400. I'm going to have to add 20 to both sides. So 6W equals 420. Divide by 6. W equals 70. All right. Now, you can verify for yourself that if you would have done the first equation in blue, you would get exactly the same thing, because if you added all the W's together, you would have 6W minus 20. So you would still get this for your first step. Keep that in mind. If you simplified it, that would be what you would get on your first step. Okay. Now, if you did the one in purple, it would look a little bit different. You would just have smaller numbers. So let's just do the one in purple. See, where do I have room to write that? This would give you 3W minus 10 is 200. And I'm going to add 10 to both sides without showing that step. 3W is 210. And divide by 3, W is 70. So hopefully you're convinced it really doesn't matter which formula you use. You're going to get W equals 70. So that means for this problem, in your picture, W ends up being 70. All right, so we're going to go down and draw the picture again. So this is 70 feet, right, because we had the width was W, which was 70, and the length was 2W minus 10, right? So that's going to be 140 minus 10, which is 130. So this would be 130, this would be 70, and this would be 130. And so if you add up all the sides, the perimeter does equal 400 feet. Oops, This isn't feet. We are doing meters. So it checks. Now, the question is what? Find the length of the lot. Okay? So the length is, and here's where a lot of people make mistakes. You look at the picture, what is the actual length? It means how long is this piece right here? 130 meters. Often people will write 260. That's twice the length. You might use the 2L in a formula, but the length is really just how long that one side is.